Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our service management webinar. Nice to see so many new faces, or new names, should I say, on the attendance list. So welcome to everybody, and thank you so much for giving up your time this morning. I see some existing customers and a lot of new people here today. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dylan Gray. I am the sales manager here at IPT. And if you don't know who IPT is, we are a managed service provider. We service pretty much just over 2,000 clients in the South African market. And at any given time, we have around 750 of those clients running through our service desk. And with that, we probably generate just short of 20,000 calls a month. Now, that probably sounds a bit excessive to a lot of people, but we are lean and mean. So we do try to do a lot of automation. So we bring in a lot of automation onto the back end as well. So typical threshold alerts and things like that will always have a ticket generated so that we can have an audit trail, we can store the data, and we can actually report off it. So we're also an ITIL-based organization, or we utilize ITIL as our framework for service management. And with all of that, the number of clients and the number of calls coming through, as well as the interpretation of ITIL, my interpretation of ITIL versus each of your interpretation of ITIL is completely different things. I mean, it's 100 different things looking at the amount of people on the call today. So with that was complexity that came up, and we started looking at our own service management environment. Now, how do we automate? How do we become more efficient? How do we automate those mundane day-to-day tasks? And slowly but surely, we started modifying our existing tool set. But then we started asking the question, is there a better way of doing this? And the result was, yes, there is a better way. And that's pretty much how we came across Servicely. Now, we've taken Servicely to a number of our larger customers, and the response has been overwhelmingly positive and pretty exciting. So what I can guarantee you this morning is that you're going to see a service management solution which focuses a lot on AI, completely different to the norms that we're used to. And it actually adds a lot of value to your business. So we've got two guests with us from overseas, and it's Ben and Dion. I know Dion will be sitting in the background listening, but Ben will be doing the presentation for us. And so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to ask Ben to jump straight into it. He'll give you a quick overview of Servicely, and then also we'll be looking at some live demos of the product in working in the real world. So with that, I think let's just hand over to Ben.
Well, hi there, everybody, and thank you, Dylan, for that introduction. Can you hear me now, Dylan?
We hear you fine, Ben.
Okay. So I'm going to just set the PowerPoint up now, and we should be good to go. Oh, I've got to share it with you, don't I? Right. Okay, now can you see my screen?
We see you.
You see my my presentation here?
Nope, we just see your face.
Face. That's not what we want. All right, let's try that.
There we go.
How is that? All right. All right. Terrific. Okay. Well, again, thanks everyone for coming along today. We're very excited to have the opportunity to present to the IPT kind of ecosystem, customers, partners, friends, and our CEO, Dion Williams. Some of you may know him. He's a South African originally, but I'm an Aussie, so it's great opportunity for us to talk to some of you folks over there. So today we're talking about a new dawn in service management. Now that's a bold claim, but I'm going to talk you through why we think we have a new dawn in service management, what is different about what's going on now. My name is Ben O'Loughlin. As you know, I'm the head of growth at Servicely.ai. And today we're going to talk a little bit about who are Servicely and why have we got the right to be talking about this stuff. The new stage of service management, we've got 5 stages to talk about briefly. We'll talk also about conversational AI, which is another capability, which can link to any of those stages. And then we'll talk about the new stage, the new dawn. Now, here are essentially the 5 stages of service management platform sort of capability. We started off with ticketing many decades ago, and then we moved to service desk, the sort of the RTL type stuff, then enterprise service management, then a workflow platform, and then a native AI platform. And I'll be explaining briefly how all of those things, what they are and how they work. But first, a little bit of context. A case study. We can't name this company yet. Well, I just want to give you a bit of a flavour for the sort of things that Servicely is doing. We're working with a subsidiary of a New York Stock Exchange listed multinational, 7,000 employees, a little bit shy of IPT's 20,000 tickets per month, but still a pretty substantial volume. They'd previously averaged nearly 4,000 phone calls per month, and we got that down to around 2,000, a little bit over 2,000. And you can see here the before and after. The interesting stuff from my point of view is that the AI is handling a bit over 1/3 of the incoming inquiries now. The phone volume's down. The portal, which was chat for them, the portal's been nearly cut in half. That's the blue stuff. And we automated a whole bunch of stuff: ticket status checks, guest Wi-Fi access, software requests, permission changes, and so on. It took them 1 month to start getting value for it to start paying for itself, and over the next 6 months they sort of matured it to the point where it was saving them nearly $1 million annually in staff time, and those numbers are, you know, pretty unexceptional. This is what the global head of service delivery and desk said. You know, simple to integrate, effective, efficiencies, reduced costs, and they like us. They find us easy to work with and supportive and super responsive. Obviously we can't name that fellow, nice guy. This guy we can name, Max Wang, head of assurance and service management for ServiceStream. Provide network services to telcos mostly. They've got a little bit over 2,000 employees, 4,000 tickets a month, and they wanted to drive self-service, which is one of the things we do. They had an overall services automation business case, which we sort of fitted into. And their quote was, they thought we had very good automation capabilities, does the job, much more cost effective and flexible, positive. So we also work with smaller companies as well. It's not just sort of publicly listed entities. Our smallest customer has got, I think, 35 staff. So we really cater to you know, any of those sorts of sizes of businesses. So the core concepts today, look, there are fundamental categorical differences in the way that different classes of tools address service management, and I'll talk about those classes. It's not always obvious from the vendor's messaging, so I'll be helping you decode some of the vendor's messaging if you're not already able to do that. And your ability to delight your customers and radically cut costs at the same time depends on the match between your tool and your ambitions for service maturity. So if you just want a ticketing tool, then get a ticketing tool, that's fine. But if you really want to make your service desk function fly, then you're going to want to look for something at the higher levels of maturity. All right, so relatively recent company, Servicely.ai, Sydney-based, and we make AI-based enterprise service management affordable. So we're sort of a mostly mid-tier to large enterprise customers. This is Dion, for those of you who don't know him. Been in service management for 30 years. He exited from his previous company, Keystone, which did 400 ServiceNow deployments over 10 years. They were a professional services and at one point the biggest ServiceNow reseller and services firm in the world. However, he found that he was frustrated with the limitations, pricing, and the attitude of the ITSM incumbent. Look at the previous line for who we're talking about. Tried working with other ITSM vendors to update their capabilities with AI, but found that not a lot of them got it, and those that could didn't really have the architecture. So he bit the bullet, hired his crack technical team back again, got the A team back together, And the solution really actually worked out really well. And we get very positive feedback, and we hope that you enjoy the demo today as well. Now we just need to make it available to everybody. A little bit about me. My background is hardcore systems engineering and pure mathematics. Now I'm in sales and marketing. Go figure. Been 20 years in IT and entrepreneurship, and my companies have served things between childcare centres to Telstra and Australian Defence and NAB, who have each got 50 to 80,000 staff. So used to dealing with the big and the small. I joined Servicely last year. Initially, I approached Dion as an investor, actually, but I really liked what was going on here, and I just finished up on a project, and I thought this would be a lot of fun and a really good product to serve the market with. I work across a number of other companies as well. All right, so let's get back to the stages. Ticketing, look, there's not much that we need to say about that really. I'll just show you some ticketing stuff. I think this is the one where we've got tickets. Basically, it's just like this, okay? This should all be unremarkable to you, this sort of audience, but suppose Andrew Venn calls up and says, my printer is on fire, and we say, well, that deserves to be an incident, I think. Hardware printer, assignment group, let's call it the service desk, and we create it, and and we're off, and we assign it to a queue. We can look at the open tickets queue, and we've got, I didn't save that, printer's not working is my last one there. So that's all a queue. It's just a way of organizing work and having visibility of all of that work. So you can have a dashboard, priority 1 tickets, tickets not updated, tickets by status. So just sort of drill in, slice and dice, just kind of simple analytics type stuff. And that's the sort of thing you see at the ticketing stage. So all very good if you're used to managing your support services by phone and email and sticky notes and carrier pigeons and stuff like that. It's just a really good way to get it all organized and get a bit more of a consistent approach. Now, I've got this section which I call Know Your Product, which is basically a survey of current vendors' messaging. And we pick a representative message from the vendor's website and infer from their message, like figure out what stage problem they're trying to solve according to that message. So the 5 stages, different vendors at different times in different messages are trying to solve different problems. Now, I will say that this is just included really for educational purposes, and the vendor, the message that we pick may not be the whole story for that vendor. So it's not really fair to say that defines them completely. But it can tell you a little bit about the center of gravity with regard to each stage. Or maybe they're just dumbing it down for their target audience. So let's look at ticketing. This is the first testimonial on ManageEngine's site. And it says, with the help of ManageEngine's service desk, we were able to centralize and capture over 99% of reported issues. Okay, so they're basically just saying that, like, we're structuring workflows here. We're getting everything, if you want to manage data, then get yourself a database. And that's really what we're doing at this stage. Here's another one here. This is Jira Service Management. Triage, track and assign incoming requests from various sources with queues and SLAs. Okay, so that's that whole thing. There's another one there I won't bother with. So the service desk stage. Now we're talking about incident problem change. We're talking about ITIL workflows. There are also standard ways of doing things in customer service management as well. And it's really about managing objects more as well as just tickets. So tickets are about things, whether it's a server that's just turned itself off, and that server has a configuration. It's got software, it's got an IP address, it's got a support contract, and we have incident problem change we'll look at right now. So let's just see here. All right, so let's suppose we've got an incident, and who are we going to have? Let's have Andrew again. Configuration item. Let's say we look at his laptop. Wait a minute, hang on. Okay, that's red, which means that he hasn't got a valid maintenance contract on that. So let's look here, record details. Demo expired warranty contract. So there's a demonstration purposes, but we've got an expired warranty contract that's propagating to this, so that we can immediately see we've got a problem with that thing that you know, that makes it a bit harder to support it. All right, so let's classify this printing issue. Oh no, let's say something else. Let's say desktop software functional issue. We'll call that end user computing. We'll assign that to IT service desk, and we'll say computer turned itself off. All right, so we'll just create that. Now we can also do things like view impacted items. I mean, that's actually not going to be very interesting for a laptop, but suppose we went to an Exchange server and we viewed impact items. We can see, and this has got a pretty simple demo data in there, but you can just sort of generally see from a CMDB point of view what the service hierarchy is, and you can walk up or down in all of that to see incidents. Computer turned itself off. Now, suppose we were to start work on that and we would end up setting it to resolved. We fix that, but we want to actually then say create a related problem, because it seems like everyone's computers are turning themselves off at the moment, and it's specific to a particular type of software that they've got on them. So we're going to create a problem. And computer turned itself off. You know, everyone with this patch level has a problem. The classification, the classification at the level of problem and of incident might be a little bit different. So let's call a desktop software functional issue. And we save that. And then we've got a problem. Now we can work on that problem, set to review, set to known error, and we can put some known errors there. Investigate problem, and then we workaround found, and then that'll pop up in the known error and workaround. It'll be propagated to any other incidents of the same type. Set that to resolved, and we say, look, that was a workaround. We kind of fixed it, but what we really need, and suppose this was a server rather than a laptop, what we might really want to do is create a related change. So we've done a little bit of a band-aid, but we actually need to create a change now. So we talk about the risk level is maybe medium, impact is medium. Add note internally, like don't mess this up. We can see down here from the activity log, the change was initiated from that problem, original problem classification, original problem description, and then we can request peer review. We'll say it's a minor change, classification. That's end user computing, request peer review. Request initial approval. I'm going to say that I'm the approver because I don't have anyone else to approve it. And now I can approve it. So it basically, you know, great thing about ITIL is it allows you to embed all of these best practices for those ITIL processes. So that's sort of, you know, set to completed, and set it to close. You've done all that. It's going to close the problem. It's going to close the incident, and we're all good.
Ben, there's a question here.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, just forgot to mention, if you've got questions, please fire away while we're going through it. It'll probably be easy for Ben to deal with them. So the question is it possible to customize the UI and create customized fields based on business needs?
Yes, indeed. That's perfectly possible. And that's actually stage 4, which is where you have a platform. And I'll show you a demo of how we've done that. So yeah, we can change fields, we can change tables, or we can add tables, we can add fields, we can customize forms, we can skin it how you like it. We can change, add customized workflows. We can interface it with any other tool that you've got, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so let's look this service desk. Let's see what people are saying about service desk. So this is an example. This is SolarWinds, a modern IT service management solution to eliminate barriers to employee support services. Okay, so that's pretty standard stuff there. Here is Freshservice. This is from their homepage. One of the first things on their homepage, it says service desk software that aligns IT with the business. Modern, efficient, ITIL aligned service desk software that requires no training. Great. So that's, all good stuff. Once you've been, you've got a bit more maturity around the IT service desk, there are opportunities for consolidating tools and supporting processes across enterprise, across the enterprise. And this is where that previous question comes in about, can you create your own workflows? And that's sort of ultimately what you want to do. But there's a stage which we call enterprise service management, which solves, having unstructured workflows between departments, propagated by email, phone, Word, or PDF forms. There's no real kind of accountability. There's no tracking of work. There's no one place to go. There's lack of visibility of issue status, of stage SLAs and end-to-end SLAs. And what you want in this stage is something that has defined workflows for each area of the business and defined interactions. You can have native ESM or marketplace ESM. So native means you support all the workflows in the tool. Marketplace means that you have a software marketplace and you've got to buy a few bits and pieces to make it all work together. But if you do that, you get better visibility and performance of cross-departmental workflows. You can consolidate your tools. You get all the same benefits at the sort of the ITIL, but now they're actually cross-silo as well. And structured processes, they lead to consistency of service, continuous improvement of response times, fewer outages, all that good stuff. So I'm going to just show you a little bit more here, I think. Right, so let's see if that loads up. All right. Okay, so the scenario here is we've got a company that's got a large number of developers and they're always working graveyard shifts and they're always ordering pizza. And the problem is that you're supposed to get, if the pizza's late, you're supposed to get a refund of the money there, and they're supposed to email it to you. But the pizza company is pretty unreliable, and the CIO or the head of development said, this is no good. We're pissing money away here. What we need is an enterprise pizza management app. And so he charged it with one of their power users. And here's what they came up with: like, when you go to order a pizza now, and fortunately they had friends in the pizza company, so they were able to get access to the back end and basically develop their own e-commerce front end. So now David Galea wants pizza. HR's got a pizza budget, IT's got a pizza budget. We're working on an HR app this evening, so we'll charge it. We'll stick it to HR. We're going to get a salami pizza with cheese. We'll go large. Is there any other choice there? And we'll say add olives, please. Now we're just going to create that order and accept that order. And then there's a workflow for this. So we've created a custom workflow. So it's new, it's been accepted, it's been approved, it's cooking and cancelled. These ones are actually propagated from the pizza company. They send us notifications, and then we reflect that in the status of our orders, out for delivery and then delivered. Now there's if the pizza's late, we've got an SLA on pizza delivery. If the pizza's late, we ought to be able to get an email with a discount code in it, and we'll ingest that email, slurp out the discount code, and then add it to the next order. But if the discount code doesn't come, then it routes to a different workflow, which is we then have an automated email to the pizza company saying, pizza was late, what are you going to do about it? Now we've got a dashboard. which is our enterprise pizza management dashboard. We've got pizza status, pizza size, pizzas by type, by size, pizza orders that are outstanding. And so now we can control and manage the flow of pizzas in our enterprise in a much more, managed way. Now, before I continue, does anyone have any guesses as to how long it took our power user, who's not a coder, by the way, knows Servicely pretty well as a user, but didn't write a line of code for this. Have I got any guesses as to how long it took them to make this app? Anything coming through there, Dylan or Renier?
I've got a question coming through, but.
All right, well, let's have the question. And then if other people want to have a guess, then you can do that while I'm answering the question.
Yeah, so just type your answer in the chat, guys, and we'll get to it. So the question is there a set standard of SM reporting capabilities, and can you customize reporting to support your key scenarios to manage change?
Yes, absolutely. So all of this reporting is, this was just sort of made on the fly pretty much. And so you can do just what you'd expect by way of, linking tables together and writing queries across different tables, like lots of different widgets. And if you've got a BI kind of capability like Tableau or Power BI, you can access all the data in that as well if you want to actually roll it up into sort of more enterprise level process reporting. But we sort of we've got a kind of a analytics out of the box that just covers the sort of data that we create.
And then we've got some guesses coming through. Quite a few at 10 minutes, a few at 7, and one at 5.
5 minutes to create this whole app. That's harsh. That's harsh. Well, look, it took 20 minutes.
There we go.
It took 20 minutes to create the table here. To create the table layout, to create the data tables, to create the workflow, to create the reporting. So we could have an approver here. This is all just kind of like drag and drop type stuff. We have a description field there. This is all just like totally drag and drop type development, and you can also manage, extend different tables, create tables with different fields. The workflow you've seen, all the reporting. So that's 20 minutes work. So it sounds like that's pretty disappointing for this current audience. But there it is. Sorry.
Another question here, Ben, before you go off. So the question is, I see you have capability of escalation. Can you control the mechanism through which you can communicate the information, and what are they?
We're sort of agnostic to the mechanism. So it can be within the Servicely app. It can be email. It can be instant message. It can be like Teams, Slack, SMS. You can send an alert to an enterprise reporting alerting platform. We pretty much give you complete flexibility of how you want to manage escalations, like how many, like how long to stay at each level of escalation, what you do, who you talk to, who you call, all of those things. Any other questions there, Dylan?
That's it. No other questions.
Okay. I'll just show you also briefly. I think it should work in this instance of the service portal here. So we've got a service catalog here. This is the sort of thing you want to have with a enterprise service management is to have a sort of an enterprise single portal for people to come to.
There's another question come through just on those workflows.
Yeah.
So the question is just, is it possible to have service requests approved by different departments or heads of those departments?
Yes, it is. So service requests, when you suppose we go to request here, create new requests. We've got a request store, and then we've got classification and assignment group. Now we'll see later how we can do this via AI, but if you're having like these are not so much the provision cloud services. for AWS. We're going to assign that to one of these network support. We'll just say support for now, and then we'll send that off. And then depending on the classification, will depend on who it routes to, how many different types of approvals you need, what level of approval you need, whether there's a group who can approve it, or in case one person's not available, all those sorts of things. Any other questions there, Dylan?
It's Dion. I might just add on the approvals, because this is an area where we see tools often, provide you with a fairly standard approval mechanism, but often struggles with advanced approvals. So within our approval engine, we've actually solved challenges that we often see around approval, and that being the whole notion of, one of, or all of, or a quorum for approvals. So what that would effectively mean, if there's a high risk change that's going in and there's certain number of people have to approve it, or out of the 5 approvers that have been requested, there's a particular person that has to approve it, and then any of the other, or 2 of the remaining 5 have to approve it. So we support very complex approvals, as well as the ability, when you're looking at approvals, pulling in, automating the approval based on if it's a particular assignment group, or if it's based on particular values or risks, etc., etc. All of that is available to you as far as the approval engine to support really complex approval mechanisms if required. So we solved a lot of the problems that we previously had with customers when they had complex approvals and multi-stage approvals, as well as the ability to address scenarios where an approving manager goes on leave, and all of a sudden the approval gets stuck and nobody can approve it. We do support a mechanism whereby you can hand off your approval for a set period of time, which means it will automatically route your approval to your designated approver while you're away. So a lot of that stuff has already been provided as part of the platform, because it's something that we saw in a lot of customers having to deal with. Sorry, Ben, I'll hand back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Dion. Okay, so Enterprise Service Portal. When you get into this ESM or Enterprise Service Management stage, you start wanting to provide a kind of a single point of contact for people, and you start wanting to offer workflows that work across different. Oh, that's just pizzas here. Let's go back to demo. We'll see if we can find it there. We've got a number of different systems that are all configured for, okay, so we can click into the service catalog and we can see IT equipment. So an employee can just come in here and not know what, they just come to the one place, and we're able to sort of present all of these things in different places from different departments. Now, at this stage of the sort of evolution of the service desk, these different tiles might actually be provided by different instances of the tool that may not actually talk to each other very well. So insofar as it's a one-stop shop, it doesn't necessarily facilitate cross-silo workflows particularly well. But that said, in this case, we're going to talk about, let's go to onboarding, and so we'll onboard myself. Some phone, submit there. And so this is onboarding is a sort of a classic use case for enterprise service. So thank you, it's been submitted. We'll go to the request. And now what we'll find is we'll start work, and approvals, closure, and we've got a bunch of things going on here. We're at classification, we've got assignment groups. That will actually have related tasks. So in this example, we've only got one task set up, but it could cascade tasks through different people in HR. So for example, setting up you in the finance system, setting up, your facilities could be setting you up with, access cards, things like that. IT will be setting you up with facilities will set you up with an office and a key, and all these things kind of cascade out of the one request. So it just means that the time for it to onboard an employee is going to be a lot shorter, and there'll be less places for the whole process to break because it's all being centrally managed.
Ben, before you move on, just another integration question with HR systems. So question here is, does this link with the HR system? If Dylan is an approver but on leave, will the system move on?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there's complete flexibility for how you want to do that. It can plug into HR systems if they expose their logic around who's approvers and who's not. You can actually do all the approvals in our system, or you can actually push them into the HR system if that's where people want to work, to be doing their stuff there. But as long as it's got an API that's got sufficiently rich, then we can push things back and forth depending on how you want the data to flow and where you want the decisions to be made. Okay, here's some ESM classic stuff. Collaboration between support domains. The request might trigger a change workflow with tasks for the HR department to set up payroll and benefits, IT to provide a laptop and an email account, and for facilities to make a desk available. Okay, couldn't have said it better myself. This is Top Desk. Let's see. Service teams can join forces and process requests from a single platform. Streamlined across your business, you'll solve problems faster, communicate better, and offer more value to the customer. So the one thing to be aware of, everyone sort of says this stuff, but one thing you can do is ask them to build a pizza app in 20 minutes and see how they go creating the tables, creating the fields, creating the forms, creating the reporting. A lot of these companies, you have to get down into the code, and they'll want to consult to you and ask you what you want to do, and then they'll actually have to create it for you in the back office. So this is the ESM stage. It is ESM, but it's not as easy to manage to get it to do what you want it to do. Which is why we get to the workflow platform stage. This stage solves the limited out-of-the-box workflows. You have multiple instances for each department, no single system of record, and so on. They can be inefficient. You don't necessarily get cross-silo visibility of all of the workflows. No consolidated reporting, no end-to-end tracking of work, ownership, high cost due to having multiple apps. So what do you want here? What you really want is a single system to digitize work across the enterprise, system of record to track work across departments, fewer apps. You can create your own workflows because, like often when you get these ESM apps, they'll say, okay, well, yes, we do HR onboarding, or we do, a particular process across different silos, but it's sort of, you have to do it their way. They've built the workflow, it's kind of static, and you don't really have the flexibility to say, no, but actually ours goes over there first, and then it comes here, and then we actually got this other department which you haven't even thought of, which is involved. But once you get more of a workflow platform approach, you get greater efficiencies by getting the workflows working end to end across the enterprise, productivity, visibility. You can digitize arbitrary workflows. You have sort of business agility because you can basically build your own apps integrating with enterprise systems and just enable sort of just follow where the business wants to go as far as how it organizes work. You get a better employee or customer service experience, lower OPEX. A platform vendor will give you the ultimate workflow flexibility, visibility, and control, which is great as far as it goes. This is Gartner's view on here. Advanced workflow support, they call an advanced ITSM tool capability. All right, so the enterprise pizza management was probably the thing to demo here because it's a true workflow app. We actually managed to create new workflows, create new data objects, create new, integrate with different systems, create dashboards, all that kind of stuff. I guess ServiceNow would probably be the main evangelist of this kind of stuff, and they do it very well. And if you have the coin, they're not a bad place to spend it. So I want to talk for a little bit about conversational AI, because this is something that comes up again and again. You know, every vendor is pretty much saying they've got an intelligent platform. We've got, you know, we've got a chatbot, we've got this, we've got that. The reality is, so there are different sorts of chatbots, but you can pretty much bolt them onto anything with an API, right? So the question, you know, they're not going to change the fundamental capabilities or the fundamental way of organizing data and workflows of the platform that you're dealing with. They're just going to allow you some sort of conversational intelligence to some extent. The embedded AI in the native AI platform allows you to use, and so this is on the left-hand side because we're basically talking about interfacing with the customer or the user over here. It's sort of like a self-service layer between the user and the service agent. Over here in the native AI workflows, we've actually got AI embedded into just about everything, and we'll show you what that will do for you. So problems that conversational AI solves for you: people, you know, phoning and emailing the service desk with unstructured inputs. Service agents taking calls to do repetitive tasks. So password resets, I think you saw on the slide of the customer we had before, like guest Wi-Fi access, password resets, adding to distribution lists, you know, file and print access, those sorts of things. They're really low, you know, like no-brainer kind of work, and they drive the level 1 analysts crazy. And then you get a lot of churn in the service desk from the level 1 agents, and then you've got to hire new people, and then you got to ramp them up, and that's expensive, and then they don't know what they're doing, and then customer service, you know, suffers. And it really is that business of repetitive tasks is really a problem. And when you have repetitive tasks, you've got low morale, staff churn, ramping costs, inexperienced staff, customers. Yeah, okay. So what does conversational AI look like? There's chatbots versus NLU, VA, natural language understanding, virtual assistant. Chatbot can mean anything that talks to a customer, or it can also mean like the dumber version. This is a dumb version here. My name is Ivy, your personal unified IT bot. That sounds good, doesn't it? Personal unified IT bot. And then it's just got these buttons. So it's basically a menu with a little friendly face icon here, but it's not really, it's not intelligent at all. It's just presenting you with some canned options and then you'll drill into these options, and then it'll give you another set of options that's got a sort of a decision tree. And at the end of that, it'll put you in, maybe they can help you find the information that you want, or maybe their job is it's sort of like an IVR essentially, like when you call up and they say for service, press 1. This is what that's doing. It's about as smart as an IVR system. This one here is a little bit more intelligent. Does your store have free Wi-Fi? Yes, we do. Is it fast enough to stream Netflix? I have no idea. You're going to see later on that our bot, if you ask it, you know, 3 or 4 times, maybe 4 or 5 times, and the human gives the same answer, then it'll start taking over because it learns. So this automates basic repetitive tasks. It's going to be embedded in a portal, and what that gets for you is you get some calls resolved by this. You know, if everyone who called up wanted to reset their password, then you would have 100% AI deflection, and that would be just fantastic. You would write a case study, you'd put it on your website, the analyst would quote you. But in real life, the numbers are not generally that good. It's like 25, 30, maybe 40%. Because most use cases, you've got a mix of things coming in and they're not exactly the same. You've got a lot of snowflake issues that are unique, and your mileage will really vary. So in terms of the old shift left paradigm, you're shifting left from level 1 to the portal. So stuff that level 1 was doing before, like answering questions about free Wi-Fi, now that the bot is doing, but they're not really that difficult questions, and they're not requiring any permissions. They don't require brains, they don't require permissions. So, you know, as many of those as you can deflect, you do. So let's go over here to we'll go back to our self.
Ben, just two quick questions that have come through before we get there.
Yep.
The first one is, what AI languages does your AI support other than English? Question is Afrikaans. I can answer that. Afrikaans, no, not yet. So any other language support?
No, I mean, we haven't sort of internationalized it extensively. Our customers are mostly from English-speaking markets at the moment, but we certainly, I mean, it was built to be flexible and have a framework that you could internationalize, and we're certainly willing to, if people have a need for it, then we can certainly do it.
Okay. Oh, the other question disappeared.
All right. The question was withdrawn.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the portal. I've got the little microphone icon there. I'm going to say, I can't log in. All right, so this is our conversational intelligence here. It says, I can't log in. Which system? And I'll say, well, I can't log into Outlook. Would you like to, in fact, you know what? Let's do this in Slack. I actually can do, I can do this on my phone. It's just that Zoom won't let me share from my phone. So this is Sophie here. Hi, Ben, I'm Sophie, the Service Center virtual agent. Yes, we're having problems with Outlook. That application uses the corporate single sign-on. I'm in sales, so I have no idea what that means. Let me check your account. Looks fine. Would you like to reset? Yes, I would. Thank you, Sophie. On you, Sophie. What was the first car that I owned? Mazda. It was a pile of crap, but I loved it. Rover. Good old Rover. Account should be unlocked. Would you please try it out and let me know if it works? Let's say it works. No, actually, let's say it doesn't work. So this can work at like 10:30 p.m. when the service desk is closed, and this would have taken a service desk agent probably like 3 or 4 minutes. And we have one IT operations VP of IT operations who says he's got 1.5 full-time equivalent people doing password resets. So do you think this would be good for him? All right, but we're going to say it still doesn't work. Sorry about that. Looks like we might need to escalate this one, and then we go there. And I don't know if that instance is working, but it seems to be. And then I've got a ticket there. Now I'm an admin, so I've got all the admin stuff. But short description. Sophie has given us a short description, and then we can look at the the workflow of that, and so on. So that's sort of an example of self-service, but also falling back if we can't fix the problem.
Ben, just another question, probably because of Slack, but
Yep.
Question is, if workflow platforms talks to one tool to service the business, what if you do not have this option? Can Servicely integrate with other apps, Microsoft Teams, phone systems, Slack, etc.?
Yeah, yes, we can. We can integrate with pretty much any channel that you want through a third-party app. We've got a native Slack integration, I think, and we sort of built to interface with other systems. We use a REST or a SOAP API, and it takes about a day to integrate it into something like a HR system or a finance system or whatever. But if it's just a case of different communications channels, we should be able to support those through our Dion, do you want to chime in on that?
Yes, certainly. So obviously you just saw the Slack integration. That's an out-the-box integration. We have a similar thing for Microsoft Teams. Ben also had on the self-service portal, we have our own kind of virtual agent UI, if you like. That'll be on the self-service portal. If you need us to communicate with a channel, like I know in South Africa, WhatsApp is fairly common. Today we don't have a WhatsApp out the box, but we'd be more than happy to if a customer had that as a need. They're all fairly standardized the way these systems talk to our published API in the back end. So it's fairly straightforward for us to plug in a new messaging app on the front end.
So yeah, I hope that answers your question. This isn't restricted to, because this is enterprise service management, we can actually address questions across all different silos. So we could say here, for example, how much leave do I have? And she's going to say, I understand you're inquiring about your leave balance. Yes, I am. And then she's going to check the database and find out that I've got 3 types of leave on my account. We're talking to, I think, Workday or, one of those systems here. And I'll say annual leave, and she'll say annual leave balance is 13 days. Anything else I can help you with? No. Okay, so we could ask for pay slips, all this sort of stuff that is just really common. HR people are really wanting to get into sort of strategic HR, but they find themselves stuck in transactional HR. So we, the idea is to shift some of that transactional stuff onto Servicely and free them up to do more kind of whatever it is that HR people do. So one more. This one. This time Sophie's gone and got knowledge, and she's presented to us, options from the knowledge base here. So reset your forgotten password, we can do it there, and that's great if I'm the sort of person who will connect to via the portal and ask my questions. We can deflect a lot of stuff. So conversational AI, there are, like BMC, for example, there are companies that have chatbots as built into their product, and then there are the likes of Moveworks who make a pure play chatbot, which is going to cost you, I don't know what that costs, like 40 grand or something, if you want to bolt that on the front of your service now. And these are the sorts of things it can do: fix account issues, provision software, answer IT questions, manage email groups, automate ticket lifecycle. And none of this stuff, the challenge that you get, and the reason why we have a native AI platform is it solves this problem of the nature of work, by which I mean, ever since the days of, Peregrine or the original, mainframe service management platforms, you've had people, the platform is really just a way of organizing the work, and you can organize it as tickets and queues. You can organize it as ITIL processes. You can organize it as, and across the enterprise, you can create your own workflows. It's a way of organizing work, but they don't actually change the nature of work, because you've still got someone, when someone says, I need to change my password, you're still going to swivel chair over to your Active Directory or Office 365 or wherever, Okta or whatever, and they're going to log in there. You're going to search up that user, then you're going to check the status of their account, then you're going to reset it, then you're going to go back to the service management platform. You're going to forget to write any notes about it, and you're going to close it, and you're going to move on. It gets worse because when people start logging things via Slack or those sorts of channels, if it's not integrated with your service desk, they'll do all of that out-of-band stuff, and they won't even log it on the service desk. It won't even be visible. And so you still got a lot of this kind of, it's not really manual work in terms of like hefting a shovel, but it's definitely swivel chairing around, and you're not carrying the context ticket into your sysadmin work. The limitations of conversational AI are that they can talk to your user, but they can't really talk to your service agent, and they can't really solve problems in the back end. And they can't do anything requiring permissions. And training data, that's probably a topic for another day, but training data is usually really terrible for training AI conversational agents. So what you really need here is you need to augment humans, service desk agents, to be more efficient. You want to divide up the work between things humans are good at and things machines are good at. And I'll show you some examples of that in a minute. And then you want the machines to be doing the second category. Automate repetitive tasks, NLU, natural language understanding, IO automation, propagating knowledge to the people, not only to the users but to the service agents. You've got someone who's just been on the desk for a month, and they get a question from a user, and the system gives them the right knowledge for them to answer that question. Observe, learn, augment, automate. Now this is an interesting one. When you get a new service desk agent, what they'll typically do is they'll sit next to an experienced agent and observe what they do, and they'll learn what they do, and then they will go off and do it for themselves. What our AI does is it does the same thing, but there's a step in the middle called augment, where it helps the service agent do stuff like whether it's reset a password or check, do a ping or something like that, where it'll actually do it in machine time. The outcomes with this sort of system are a significant shift left inside the service desk. So not only are we doing like the conversational AI, shifting from level 1 to the agent or the portal, but we can shift from level 3 to level 2, level 2 to level 1, and level 1 to level 0. And we move that work left through the support chain to the lower cost resources. We free upskilled staff time because the people are doing what the people are good at, and the machines are doing what the machines are good at. And you know, machines, when they're doing something they're good at, they do it really fast. So that reduces the call handling time and the amount of time required by service agents. And then the user experience is then a lot better. You get improved business productivity. So business productivity, like I can, if it's out of hours and I need to change my Active Directory password, I can do that, and I don't have to wait until the next day, so I can get my work done. Improve first call resolution, and freeing up humans to deal with the more complex issues, making better use of your humans. All right, so the thing with native AI platforms is it requires pretty recent architectures to pull it off. You can't really do it with older stuff. So here's just a little survey of some of the big players here. And just by way of comparison, you know, some of them were built in the era of George Michael and Wham. And so it becomes very challenging to try and leverage innovations in architectures and platforms and AI if you're dealing with that kind of thing. So these guys, I just like that photo. All right, so let's do this.
And one question quick.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think Dion, you're probably gonna have to jump in. This is around compliance, compliance with the likes of GDPR, POPI, HIPAA, probably what your compliance in Australia is as well. So protection of privacy data.
Yes, so we're in the process of going through GDPR specifically, just because of the data owner and the way they work. So in the final process of that, we do, however, comply with all the Australian laws around our Privacy Act. I mean, they're all very similar. So, you know, that's all included in our standard contracts, the Privacy Act, the Australian Privacy Act. We've had an initial look at POPI. To be honest, it's not too dissimilar. And, you know, if that was a requirement, we'd happily go through the official process of doing it. But suffice to say, you know, we have all the privacy laws from Australia all built into our standard contracts around how we use the data. Just from a general architecture perspective, we're full AWS. We have third-party penetration testing performed regularly, etc. So all the things you'd expect from a mature SaaS provider is all provided as part of the platform.
All right, I just want to give you a flavor. Sorry, what's that, Dylan?
We've got 2 minutes left.
Yeah, so let me just show you something quick. Andrew Venn calls up and he says, what's he going to say? Net VPN. And a couple of things just happened. Okay, this is augmented. This is native AI. So we're in the back end. We're in the service desk. This isn't a user-facing thing. This is an agent-facing thing. What's just happened is it's automatically classified. I don't know if you folks have any problems with getting agents to classify things so that you've got good data for continuous improvement, data mining, all that kind of stuff. But it's automatically classified. It's over here. It's got an intelligent action. It's understood that we've got a VPN problem. It knows it's Andrew Venn, so it knows his IP address from the CMDB. It's checked his VPN status, and it says the VPN's down. Now, it's done this automatically because there's no side effects. It's not going to break anything just by checking the status. It's already executed the action and the VPN's down. Now it's going to suggest with 65% confidence, so it's not going to do it itself for two reasons. One, it's not confident, and secondly, there are side effects. It's going to suggest that we restart the VPN, and I'm going to say as a service desk agent, yeah, sure, that sounds like a pretty sensible thing. And then we can go down here and all the activities logged there, and I can say, well, why don't I just double check? Check VPN status. And I'll say run. And it says over here, VPN is now up. So that previously might have taken, this might have been escalated to a level 3 network person. If the person was new and they didn't really understand the VPN problem. But now, because the system understands what the problem is and understands, it's seen it enough times that it's started to surface these intelligent actions and solve the problem, then you're able to shift left by not bothering a level 3 person, and you're able to get it done really super quick. And when you do this across a whole bunch of repetitive tasks, then you free up a lot of people and you save a lot of money, and the customers really enjoy it. So that's, I think, all we've got time for. Want to know more? Talk to IPT account manager to engage further.
Thanks,
and
Ben.
I'll hand back over to you, Dylan.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it. A lot of data to get through to you guys, a lot of information. But please reach out to either myself or reply to the mail that you would have got confirming the event. And we'll get back to you. We can organize one-on-one sessions for you as well with a little bit more time and take you through the system more in depth. Appreciate your time this morning, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we will hopefully catch up with you shortly with another webinar. Cheers for now.